this, guys. Trying to fix the presentation here. That does that. Okay, we're doing vertical, I guess. Every time I do this on this phone. All right, guys. We are live from my bedroom as Mississippi State is coming off a huge win over Texas Tech in baseball, a game that they absolutely had to have after what's happened the last couple of weeks for Mississippi State. They go to Tulane, they blow a couple of ball games they had a chance to win, they had a chance to sweep that series at Tulane and weren't able to do it. So to come out tonight against a top 20 team in Texas Tech and really explode in that fourth inning, and then the bullpen gets some big outs down the stretch. Big development for Mississippi State, and it was a game that they had to have. This is a team that is, right now it's early in the year, but they're kind of fighting for their season right now. And it feels strange to say in a 56-game schedule, but this is a team that's trying to find itself early on, trying to get some things established, and you got to win some games here early on in the schedule. You're playing some really good teams. You got a really difficult SEC schedule coming up this year. Mississippi State needs to start winning some ball games, and they get a big one tonight against Texas Tech. 11-5 is your final score. Mississippi State fans weren't exactly sure what to expect coming in this ball game from a pitching perspective. You're coming off a weekend where you have to go to Tulane and you spend some bullets down there. You don't have a great weekend pitching the baseball out of the bullpen. You blew a couple of leads on Saturday and Sunday. You lost Landon Sims on Friday in a win. So there wasn't a whole lot of expectations coming into this ball game from a pitching perspective. Parker Stinnett was throwing for the Bulldogs, and a lot of people were concerned on how he would react in this ball game. He came in against Tulane and kind of struggled there against a couple of batters, but this game he was just fantastic. He gave you every single thing that you needed in this game. He gave you 5 innings. That's all you can ask for out of Stinnett, who's never really thrown that many innings. Not only that, he struck out 12 batters against a really good lineup. And he didn't walk a ton of guys. He had 3 walks, but he didn't let that break him down in an inning. There were a couple of times early I thought was really big for him in that ball game. He got behind in counts. He works back in the count, gets it full, and he gets strikeouts. Struck out the side, I think, in 3 of the 5 innings. It was just a gutsy performance for Parker Stinnett to battle through, some misses here and there and getting behind in some counts, and to strike out 12 batters, which is the second most this season, only 1 behind Landon Sims' performance in the opening weekend. And Landon did that in 7 innings, I believe. This was just in 5 for Parker Stinnett. This is probably the second, best performance that we've seen from a starter this year, next to what Landon Sims was doing against Tulane. So 1 hit is all he gives up. He gives up an unearned run that happened because of an error on third baseman Cam James. You got everything you could ask for at Parker Stinnett, and I think you got to feel better about Parker moving forward. And I'll be the first guy to admit that I was very skeptical of what Parker was going to be able to do moving forward for Mississippi State. But to come out and have this kind of performance, I think, is huge for the Bulldogs as they're looking for guys to get outs and to eat up innings and to be successful for State on the mound, because there's just not a ton of guys that are doing it. And I'm not expecting Landon Sims to return it, especially anytime soon. But Parker Stinnett had a great ball game. Brandon Smith threw strikes, and that's what you need to do when you have a big lead. But they teed off on him a little bit. Gave up 4 runs, gave up 7 hits, just 1 strikeout. So they were able to kind of climb back in the ball game a little bit, but Pico Cone really did a great job of getting State out of some trouble in that 8th inning. I thought that was the ball game there. It's a 10-5 ball game, 1 out. They have 2 runners in scoring position. A base hit makes that a tight ball game pretty quick, 10-7. And Pico comes in there, gets a strikeout and a fly out, and then a perfect 9th inning with 2 strikeouts. Pico is a guy that I think can really factor into things for Mississippi State down the stretch. He's a left-handed pitcher. Mississippi State doesn't have many of those guys, and especially not that they can count on. So to be able to bring him in there and the freshman come out of that situation smelling like roses against a top 20 Texas Tech team, that's good news. So you had 2 major developments there, I think, on the pitching situation for Mississippi State, Parker Stinnett and Pico coming in there and doing a really good job. And I think that was big for the Bulldogs moving forward. Hitting wise, another just really big inning. Mississippi State's having big innings and then having some droughts, but I thought they were pretty good offensively today. On Sunday when they lost to Tulane, I believe they ended up 0 for 8 or 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And in this ball game, I think they had 6 or 7 hits with runners in scoring position. So that fourth inning was obviously the big one. They scored 9 runs that frame, had some big hits. Davis Mesh comes up with a big hit. I thought Von Siebert had a really big at bat with the bases loaded to work a full count and then walk and bring home a run. That was really big for State to keep the inning going. And then Mesh had the big hit. Hunter Heinz has a 3-run shot to center field, and that kid is just unbelievable. 3 for 4 for him today with 4 RBI. He's been probably State's most impressive hitter so far this season. He's just a true freshman, and you can see talent just oozing out of that kid. Big body kid, swings the bat really well, has a really good eye too. I love how he approaches the plate when he comes up there to bat, and he was really good again today. 3 for 4, 4 RBI, had a home run, had another big 2-out hit that drove in a run in that same inning. I think he had 2 hits in that same inning, and got things started really early in that inning when he was able to get the base hit after Cam James walked. So he was good. Top of the order was pretty solid. 2 for 4 for Cam James. Luke Hancock had a sac fly in the game, and he had 1 hit. 2 hits for Tanner Leggett, who had some of the most impressive at bats. He went 2 for 3. He had a double in the game. Had a bunt single. I think he walked as well. Yeah, he walked. Stole a couple of bases. He's really electric when he gets on the base pass. Probably State's best base runner overall, and he had a really good game. Kellen Clark had a big hit in that 4th inning as well to drive in a couple of runs. So he's starting to kind of get out of his funk a little bit. Batting 171 right now, but just a couple of games ago he was 0 for 17 or whatever it was, and he's starting to get some big hits now and having some good plate appearances. So like what I'm seeing from this offense. Chris Simone is still tinkering with it a little bit, trying to find the right buttons here. Yeager did not start in this game, started Davis Mesh instead. Mesh went 1 for 3, had a couple of strikeouts, but I thought that was a big hit to get one up the middle there in that inning with the bases loaded. So there's still nobody's locked down one of the outfield positions, and the infield's still kind of in flux right now. I think Tanner Leggett is earning his worth there. I think it's going to be tough to keep him out of the lineup. But R.J. Yeager has still not really locked things down. I thought he had a good series against Tulane. I was a little surprised he didn't start in this. I imagine he'll probably get the start tomorrow against Texas Tech at second base. Oh, and all I got to say is Hunter Hines is a beast. Yeah, he's been fantastic. Yeah, guys, if you want to put some questions in there, go ahead, or any kind of comments. Jesse, maybe Stinnett's figured it out. Could be. I mean, a game like this can get you some confidence quick. It's not a question about Parker Stinnett's ability. He is a very good pitcher, has some really good stuff, has a good fastball if he has command on it. His breaking ball is really impressive. He got a curveball and a slider, and I really think that he throws that more comfortably than he does his fastball. He seems to be able to locate a little better with his breaking balls than he does with his fastball. And he was really good with the breaking ball today. Got a lot of swing and miss on it and was throwing it a lot with full counts and 2 strikes. So I was really impressed with Stinnett. If he is able to come in there and have success early in counts or battle back like he did, because he didn't have success early in counts in this game, but he didn't let the at-bat get away from him. He was able to battle back and get out. It's kind of reminded me of Ethan Small sometimes a couple of years ago. Ethan Small might fall behind in a count, but he wouldn't allow that at-bat to wither away. He would battle back and get a strikeout, and that's kind of what Stinnett did today. If he can start to command his pitches, and if he can make some really good pitches and not put guys on base with hit batters or walks, and he has that confidence you got to feel really good about Parker Stinnett moving forward. And you need him. You got to have a guy like that. There's not enough people in that bullpen right now that you feel good about. And Stinnett showing what he did, Pico Cone showing what he did, those guys have got to step up and be a factor for Mississippi State, because you're probably going to be without Landon Sims, and the bullpen is really thin right now. The starters look all right, but there's just not enough right now. You need all hands on deck. You need whoever can emerge needs to emerge. Anthony, were you able to get any update on Hunt? Not yet. I'm not in Biloxi, so I can't talk to Chris. The next time that I'm able to talk to Chris, if somebody else doesn't before then, I'm going to find out what's going on with Hunt, because obviously he's got to be injured. If he comes out pitching tomorrow, then we have our answer. But right now, I have not seen a starter announced for tomorrow. Y'all might have seen. I see. I'm looking through Twitter as we speak to see if there's anybody down there. Theo DeRosa, I believe, is down there for the Dispatch. He said that there's no update on Landon Sims, Casey Hunt, or Stone Simmons, but all three have been looked at medically. They're hoping to have an update in a couple of days, so we'll see. I don't think anything with Stone Simmons or Casey Hunt are serious right now, but I do think Landon Sims is. Lil Perfect, any update on women's basketball? I don't have anything right now. Everything's just kind of at a standstill right now, and Raven Farley is no longer with the team, so yeah, just wait. We're waiting now on the starter, and I guess Lamonis has not announced it yet, but I'm really interested to see what they do. You're probably going to have to go with maybe Jackson Fristow on Friday, I would think. I don't know who else is going to be your third starter, especially if Casey Hunt's out. I don't really know what they're going to do there, but right now you're just kind of piecing it together. I mean, we watched in 2017 a team just piece things together game by game with that pitching staff, and that was really an interesting season. State's going to have to score a lot of runs this year. The offense is going to have to be really good all season long to have a chance. I don't see the pitching getting to the point where it's going to be dominant. I do think State has some guys. The starters right now have done really well. I mean, there's been maybe one or two games where the starters have not come out and performed really well. So you're getting some good starts. If you get some good starts, if you can get 6 or 7 innings every start, and you just have to piece it together for the last 3, I think you can deal with that. If you get beat up early, I don't know how many guys there are that can just shut things down for 5 or 6 innings. So it's just one of those things that every now and then you have a season where you have a team that they're weak at certain spots, very weak at certain spots. Mississippi State's had seasons where the offense wasn't very good, and sometimes they've had seasons where their pitching wasn't very good or their defense wasn't very good. You just have to find a way. David, can we see a trend of Friday, Saturday using 2 to 3 pitchers tops? That would be ideal if you can have your Friday guy go 7 innings and then another guy come in there and finish it out. That would be ideal. Brock Fristow is what Lamona said on the radio. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. I don't know what they do now on the weekend for that third starter. If Fristow's starting on Wednesday, I doubt you bring him back unless he only throws a couple of innings or something. I doubt you bring him back. But you really need this game on Wednesday. You really need a solid start, and I feel like Fristow gives you the best chance. I'm not saying overlook Princeton, but they're not very good. You might can find somebody that can piece it together on a Sunday or on a Friday. But you really need this. This is a top 20 ball game. You have a chance to get 2 top 20 midweek wins here. Get your team back on track at 8-6. It's not a good start for Mississippi State, but this would be a lot like that 2020 season when State started to kind of figure themselves out against this very same program in Texas Tech in Biloxi. They were able to win those 2 ball games, and you started to feel really good about that team. I think you start to feel really good again about this Mississippi State team if they're able to win this game on Wednesday and get to 8-6 and try to get 3 wins this weekend and get back on track here. You have a chance here to get back on track and salvage the first part of your schedule. Even though you've lost 6 games, there's still opportunities here for Mississippi State to get back to where they want to be. Elijah, I have not heard anything on Princeton. I've just kind of looked at them. We can look it up as we speak. But everybody usually has a good Friday night starter. They're 0-8 right now, and I don't know. I mean, their first game they gave up 9 runs against VCU. They only gave up 2 on a Saturday. I mean, they've given up a lot of runs, so I'm not sure in the competition. I mean, they played Purdue, William and Mary. They've lost to Old Dominion, Richmond. This is a team like Northern Kentucky you should sweep, but you can't take that for granted at this point. Mississippi State lost to Northern Kentucky, so I mean there's no games that you can really pencil in as wins. But yeah, I mean this is a really big stretch here. I mean it would have been nice for Mississippi State to at least win that series against Tulane, but what you're seeing now is the offense is starting to get hot. The offense is starting to get into a groove here. Chris Lemonis is still tinkering a little bit to try to find the lineup, and I think eventually he will. But it's starting to get better for them. It's just you just need the pitching to come through. Anthony, if Sims has a pop UCL, how long is it before you have to have surgery to repair it? I don't know if there's a set date, but they're going to want to if it is the UCL, they're going to want to do that as soon as possible to go ahead and get him rehabbed. By the way, I was looking on Facebook. I saw Christian McLeod apparently tore his UCL. He had Tommy John surgery, I believe, today. So wishing him a full recovery. Kind of makes sense now because I noticed he wasn't pitching much after the season last year. Mason, am I the only one worried the world shuts down if we win tomorrow? Yeah, we have some serious 2020 vibes if that happens. If they win tomorrow. Jesse, who's the Friday night starter when SEC schedule starts? That's what I'm trying to figure out, man. I don't know what you do here. I mean, this might be a good time to move guys up if you want to. With Princeton here, Cade Smith threw a lot of pitches last week. So did Preston Johnson. So I don't know what they're going to do. It looks like they're probably going to just leave the rotation as it is with Preston and Cade where they are. But nothing official on that just yet. I'm interested to see what they do this weekend. This is going to be the time to see. But I think Casey Hunt's going to factor into things either in the midweek or the weekend when he's healthy. I'd like to know what's going on with him. I honestly have not heard exactly what's wrong with him. Rashana, did you like the lineup today? I thought it was okay. I thought Yeager did well enough against Tulane that I thought he hit the ball really well against Tulane. So I was a little surprised that he didn't start. He didn't have hits in his last 2 games, but, I mean, he walked in one of those. Well, he had 2 hits against Tulane, but the first 2 games, and then was 0 for 2 the Sunday game. So I didn't really – it might just be one of those deals where Lamona's just wanted to give Mesh a midweek start. I think Yeager's going to be back in the lineup. He's starting to kind of find his way a little bit. 2 for 3 on Friday against Tulane. 2 for 5 on Saturday. He was 0 for 2 with a walk on Sunday. And I think one of those was a really hard hit ball. So he's starting to see the ball a little bit better. He had a sac fly, I believe, on Tuesday night. So he didn't have a sac fly, but he moved a runner. But he's starting to hit the ball better. Kellum Clark's starting to hit the ball better. I think you just let those guys stay in the lineup and see what happens. I thought Von Siebert was pretty good. He had that big walk in the fourth inning that drove in a run, had a strikeout, but on that strikeout, he battled at the plate. So I didn't see a problem with having Siebert in there. The lineup was solid. It was kind of a big bashing lineup for most of the way until you got to 8 and 9 with Leggett and Mesh. And I thought Leggett was just really good. He's probably State's best option at shortstop. I think we can play through the weather Friday at this point. This will be my first game since the Hardens were pitching in person. It's always funny. You look at the weather this early in the week, and it almost always says a game's going to get rained out, but it works itself out. It looks like it's going to be really cold. I think that they'll play at some point. Either it'll be, if they don't play Friday, it'll be a doubleheader Saturday or something. They'll get the games in. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. Yeah, it's been raining all day here. I mean, it hadn't stopped raining since about noon. It's still raining right now. I can hear it on the roof. David Walker can throw a lot of pitches. If he can find it, he'll be good for midweek. I agree. I really like Jack Walker. I know, but I like his potential. I think you got to find a way to kind of let him work some of this stuff out. I mean, didn't record an out against Tulane, and that was disappointing. Gave up a double and a home run, hit a guy. So, I mean, it was that was rough. But I think, he had a 5-inning game against Grambling. I thought he pitched well at 8 strikeouts. He's got to find his way out of that. And you're going to need him to probably come through for you in the midweek at some point. He's got some good stuff. He's just, right now, he's learning how to pitch against college players. Oh, and how many homers do you see Heinz hitting this year? At this pace, he's got a chance to hit a bunch. He's got 4 right now, which is leading the team. I think he can hit 12 to 15 easily. We'll see what happens. The guy just is outstanding. I love his plate appearances and just how he handles himself. Could you see Cam James being moved to left with Leggett to third and Forsythe back to short? I don't think so. If Forsythe's not able to hit, they're just not going to have him in the lineup. I don't see how you can have him in there if he's not able to hit. Because the defense is going to be fine. I know Cam had an error tonight, but he's been fine all season. Defensively, let's see what he's done. That's his first error of the year. This defense has been really good. That was the 6th error of the season to this point. Luke's had an error. Logan Tanner's had a couple of pass balls. That's Cam's second. Sorry. So 2 errors and 30-plus chances. They've been really good in the infield. I don't think that they would do that. I think Leggett's going to be good enough at short. I think Yeager's going to be fine at second. I think Cam's going to be fine at third. I think they would just not play Forsythe. And I hate that. That's crazy. A guy goes from a freshman playing in the College World Series on the College World Series all CWS team or whatever, but he's got to be able to hit. The guys that hit are the ones that are going to be in this lineup. And the defense is going to be good enough no matter who's in there. They got to be able to hit because the pitching's not going to be good enough to offset that. You got to be able to hit. You got to be able to have some offense with what Mississippi State's going to be playing this year, and I think that's what they're going to do. The guys that are the biggest threat to score and get on base, those are going to be the ones that are playing. And Tanner Leggett, he just battles at the plate. Even if it's not a hit, he's got a chance to work a walk. He's got a chance to hit a fly ball to bring somebody home or a ground ball to move a runner. He's going to put the ball in play more than Lane Forsythe, and he's going to hit the ball more than Forsythe. Right now, we're looking at, let's see, he's batting just over 200, I think. He's got 6 hits on the season. Forsythe has 3. And just 4 strikeouts to 9. And he's had more at bats than Forsythe. So he's going to to hit the ball and put it in play, and I think he's going to get the edge. He's not going to hit that much better. I don't expect him to be a 325, 300 hitter, but he's going to be a threat at the plate, and I think that's big. Let's see what else we got here. Evan, I thought Brandon Smith was good. Yeah, he was fine. That last inning in there, he got hit around a little bit. But when you're leading 9-1 and 10-2 and stuff like that, you just got to throw strikes. You'll take giving up a solo home run. He gave up a couple of solo home runs, gave up a double. You'll take that. You just need to throw strikes and force the other team to beat you. When you lose ball games out of the bullpen, it's because you're walking guys. It's just very, very rarely do guys just get roped in there. It's mostly when you walk guys and you're hitting guys, you're throwing wild pitches. That's the guys that lose ball games for you. And Brandon gave up 7 hits, gave up a couple of home runs, but 4 runs at the end of the day when you're up 10-1, 9-1 or whatever, and your offense scored another run there. That was fine. You'd like for him to be a little more effective, and they really, I'm sure, wanted him to finish that ball game, but it just didn't happen. They were squaring him up pretty good there late. Is it just me, or is Pico Cone looking better than Ethan Small did his first year? He does. He does look better than Ethan his first year. Ethan was a guy that he was kind of a fireballer. He would come in there and throw mid-90s, and he was throwing batting practice. He was kind of wild. Pico is a lot more under control, and I love that kid's breaking ball. It just clips the outside corner, inside corner. He looks like a magician out there from the left side. I think he's got a chance to be really good. Some great stuff. Didn't have a great ball game against Southern Miss, but other than that, he's been pretty good this year. Earned run average down to 1.86 on the season. I really like his stuff. There's a couple of guys I really like in this class. Jack Walker's another one, and I know he's struggling right now, but he's one that I really like too. Pico, let's see what he's done this year. Gave up a couple of runs against Southern Miss, an inning and 2/3. He walked 2 guys. Those are his only 2 walks all season long. So he's going to come in there and throw strikes. 13 strikeouts to 2 walks and 10 1/3 innings. He's only given up 4 hits. You can't ask for anything more from a freshman. And he's done it against Pine Bluff and Northern Kentucky, but tonight he did it against a top 20 team. And in the 9th inning, goes up against the top 3 in the order, gets 2 strikeouts, and gets a fly out from Jace Jung, who had 3 straight hits. So I really like that kid. For a freshman, he's doing a great job. Mason, any idea why games in Biloxi are on ESPN but not Jackson? I think that just the capabilities there's a little better in Biloxi. They have they do the Mississippi not the Mississippi Braves, the Shuckers games down there. I think those are the guys that do those games. I think that's the production or whatever. But there's no reason for the games in Pearl not to be on TV. It's take a couple of cameras out there, Bart Gregory and Charlie Winfield, and call it a day. It seems like that would be easy. Wyatt think there's a good chance Pico's starting by the end of the season. Could be. Could start. Could be a huge part of the bullpen. There's some options there. Cameron, is there any guys in next year's class that bring more velo-wise? Seems we went with more crafty route this past class. Let me look, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I just don't have the names of the guys in this class. Let me look here. Lincoln Sheffield is a lefty from Hartfield. He's another kind of a crafty guy. Logan Forsythe, not much. Evan Sierra, who's at Starkville Academy, he's throwing low 90s right now, but he's got a chance to be a velo guy before it's all said and done. I think Will Gibbs is a good pitcher. Brock Tapper. Austin Tomasini has some pop behind his arm. Ernie Day from community college in Iowa as well. Drangelo Sagente, the guy from Florida, who's the both-hand pitcher. He has some velocity, but he's not going to end up here. Yeah, so there's a few guys in here that do, but it's not, to me. It's not so much important to have velocity. It's being able to pitch. I mean, there's so many guys that are throwing high 80s and low 90s that are significantly better pitchers than guys that are throwing 98. In the MLB, guys that are throwing 95 or greater are getting hit harder than the ones that are throwing 88 to 91. So if you can pitch, you can pitch. If you can come in there and find a way to get guys out, get swings and misses, you have a really good breaking ball, wipeout slider, a good curveball that you can spot for strikes, a nice changeup. Those guys are more valuable to me, in my opinion, than the guys that are throwing really hard. Because a lot of times you got a guy coming out there throwing, 98, and he doesn't know where it's going. And Mississippi State has a couple of guys that can do that, and a lot of times guys hit that better. So if you're able to pitch, if you're able to find your spots, hit your spots, I think that's more important than just strictly having the power behind it. But it is nice to have that velocity too, if you can throw it past somebody. MSU Dog, how about start Cam Tuller? I mean, I just don't see it. I got to see more from Cam Tuller. He's got to be more effective when he comes to the ball game. And right now, he's not thrown more than one inning, and every single one of those games he's put a guy on base. Long Beach State threw an inning, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, had a walk. Northern Kentucky got 1 out, gave up a hit, a run, walked 2 guys. Tulane the first time threw an inning, gave up a run, walked a guy, gave up a hit. And then Tulane the other day came in, faced 1 guy and walked him. I mean, if you're going to come in the ball game, you're going to have to show Lamonis and Foxhall that you can get guys out, or it's going to be tough to imagine him being a factor here. When he comes to the ball game, he's got to get outs, and he can't put people on bases. And right now, when I'm thinking of left-handed pitchers, if I'm thinking of matchup, I'm bringing in Pico. Or, I mean, why not try Andrew Walling? At least Walling can hum it up there 95, 96 and has some good stuff. I mean, he can get some swing and miss. And if Tuller's going to walk a guy, you might as well bring in Walling, who's got a chance to walk a guy too. So, yeah, Cameron, that guy throwing 103 is pretty incredible. Oh, and will Aiden Fancher end up here? It's a wait and see. I think he's worked out for several MLB clubs, and it's just going to be up to he and his family on what they think, if they're ready to go. I mean, a lot of times that's just what it boils down to, is whether or not a kid and his family feels like they are ready to go start a career, or if they want to go to school. What's up, Batman? Oh, Evan might be already been asked, but what's the update on Stone and the KC? You had talked about it earlier. According to Theo DeRosa, who's down there in Biloxi, they asked about that, and no update on either one of those or Landon Sims, but the trainers have been looking at them. They've been going through treatment. So we don't know what is going on with any of those guys. Mason, could the MLB lockout help us with some guys and get them to campus? I don't know. I mean, I think the MLB is going to be back, but I think what you're seeing is you're seeing growth in college baseball. I think you're going to see more guys come to school over the next few years and moving forward, because it's a fun sport. It's a really fun sport. You see the atmospheres at Mississippi State and Arkansas and Ole Miss and LSU and places like that. You see the College World Series is starting to grow. The game's starting to grow. People are starting to see, I can go there. I can see some great arms over the course of 3 years. I can become a better player. I can develop, and then I can be ready to move up even faster whenever I get out of college and go into the minor league system. I think you're going to see more and more of that happening over the course of time. More and more talent is going to be coming to school, and that's going to make the game even more exciting. Right now, the talent is as high as it's been, in my opinion, across the board, and that's made the game so great to follow, because the parity in college baseball is so great. Anybody can win a ball game. There are great teams that don't necessarily have the resources that Mississippi State and some of these teams in the SEC does. Tulane is a top 25 team right now. Liberty is a top 25 team right now. So you can have some great baseball teams that don't have the same resources that some teams in the Power Five do. It's not like college football where the teams with the most money seem to rise to the top and beat everybody that doesn't have the money to compete. That's what makes college baseball and baseball in general so great. And I think that's going to become a more intriguing thing for prospects coming out of high school and even some junior college kids. Just a really fun game. Oh, Cameron, I really like Tepper. He's got to figure one or two things out. Yeah, right now without Landon Sims, he's your velo guy. He's the guy that's going to be throwing the hardest. And I thought he was okay. I liked how the other day how he got out of trouble. He gave up the home run to lose the game to Tulane, but came in an impossible situation there in that game and got out of some trouble. You need him. You need these guys. You need Mikey Tepper. You need Mark Parker Stinnett, Pico Cone. All these guys have got to step up and be really good out of the bullpen. They got to come in there and throw strikes. Tepper can't walk guys. He can't hit. He was up 0-2 the other day and hit a batter. You can't do that. He's got to find his command. Allen, if Sims is out for the year, has he pitched his last game for state? Yes. I'm not expecting Sims to play beyond this year at Mississippi State. I think he's probably done at Mississippi State if this is it. And that sucks so bad that we didn't have an opportunity to see a full season of him as a starter, because I think he was going to have a really good season, as we saw last week against Tulane. I mean, he was just unbelievable, and that's a huge loss for Mississippi State. So we'll see. We're praying for the best for him, but he'll recover from this. What's your favorite sport to cover? Baseball, no doubt about it. I grew up I was a huge basketball guy. I loved basketball. I loved football, obviously, but growing up, basketball was my sport. Loved following Mississippi State basketball, those teams in the late 90s and early 2000s, some of my favorite times growing up. But right after high school, I started covering baseball when I was with MSU Media Relations. And man, I just fell in love with Mississippi State baseball, the culture around it, and the game of college baseball just became one of my favorite things. And when I got into the business, this is just unquestionably my favorite thing. So fun to cover too, because it's just such a laid back sport until you get late into the ball games, and then it becomes really nerve wracking. Oh, and I believe Sims was about to throw a no hitter. What about you? They couldn't touch him. I mean, the only guy to put a ball in play hit a lazy fly ball. I'm sure somebody would have looked up and dropped one in there, but he was not going to give up very many hits or runs in that ball game. I mean, they could not catch up to his fastball, and he was just unloading it on them, and eventually just his elbow gave out, and that's a tough situation. Anthony, the advancement of Tommy John surgery has probably helped a little with guys passing up the majors. Yeah. And also, teams just are not afraid of that injury anymore. You can recover from it. You can get back, a year later. I mean, it used to be a devastating injury. It used to be a career-ending, pretty much, injury. And now you're getting repaired and you're coming back, you're working back, and a lot of guys' velocity is getting better. They're a better pitcher. And sometimes it takes a year after surgery to really get back into your groove. But a lot of guys are coming back and they're better pitchers. So nobody is scared of that injury anymore. It's just tough to see if this is it for Landon Sims. It's tough to see, the end of his career here. But he will go down, no doubt, as a legend at Mississippi State, one of the best pitchers ever at Mississippi State. And I was really interested to see how he went about things this year as a starter. It was starting off pretty well. Anyway, you guys got any more questions? I've had a good show here. tomorrow, Mississippi State versus Texas Tech. That game is at 5, I believe, and State will have Jackson Fristow on the mound looking to take that 2-game set against the Red Raiders. 5 p.m. You can see that game just like you did on Tuesday on SEC Network Plus. So a little early ball game for you late afternoon, and State has a big opportunity. I mean, you look at what's coming up. You get past this, and you got 4 winnable ball games here with Princeton coming to town, and then Binghamton, and then you got to go to Athens, Georgia, right off the bat. I mean, this schedule's tough. I mean, you got Georgia and Alabama first in SEC play, and then you got to go to Fayetteville. You welcome LSU to town. You got Auburn coming to town. They're a better team. Ole Miss, we know what they are. You got to go to Ole Miss this year. You got Missouri on the schedule. That's a beatable team, but the schedule's pretty tough. I mean, it's not the easiest schedule for Mississippi State, but it's a schedule. There's some winnable series in there for Mississippi State, and this is a good opportunity here late in this first part of this non-conference schedule for State to build some wins and get back in good standing after starting 6-6. It was not a good start for State, the worst starts of 2008. But the season's not lost. This team is too talented to not put up a fight here and have a chance. But you put yourself behind the 8 ball as far as hosting is concerned and national seed. But there's some opportunities down the road for Mississippi State to try to get back in there with some of these teams coming up. Travis, is there anything more satisfying than getting a pitcher out of the game the very next inning after he talks trash your dugout? Yeah, a lot of trash talking from that Texas Tech team in the first couple innings, but that kind of went by the wayside there after that 4th. We didn't see it nearly as much. You know, Jace Young had that catch, that great catch that he made, and got up and looked directly back at the dugout, was talking trash. It was pretty wild, and the pitcher struggled after the second inning when he was talking trash. Oh, and to think basketball beats South Carolina. We'll see. You know, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the basketball team. You know, they beat South Carolina pretty handily at home. Then they lost to them handily on the road. Now they're going on a neutral site here, and South Carolina's playing much better down the stretch. So it's going to be tough. LeBron's brain. How many more losses can we afford to host any regionals? I don't know the number, but you really need to win the bulk of your non-conference game. After Texas Tech, you really don't need to lose any more non-conference games. I mean, maybe Ole Miss at Pearl is acceptable, but, I mean, the rest of the non-conference schedule is not tough. I mean, Sanford is usually a good program. Memphis is usually okay, but there's not a whole lot of guys left out there. Southern, they're usually good, but that's a team that you should beat. State needs to win the rest of their non-conference games, and they need to win 20 games probably, 19, 20 games in SEC. I mean, that's kind of where they're at right now. If you want to get back to, especially national seed. You're 7-6 right now. That's a lot of non-conference losses for Mississippi State since Chris Lamonis has been here. I mean, he's usually losing less than 5 games in non-conference play, and that's put them in really good shape. Do you think the basketball team can still make the NCAA tournament if they win 2 games? No, I think they're going to have to win it all. I don't think, that they would be at 19 wins. And they don't have hardly any good wins on the resume right now. 17-14, they had a losing record in conference. No, they're gonna have to win. They're gonna have to win it all. But crazier things have happened. I mean, I watched Georgia win the SEC tournament one year when the tornado hit the Georgia Dome, and they had a losing record. So you just never know. I mean, basketball is a weird game, and it is March, so you never know what can happen. All right, guys, thanks for doing this. Really enjoyed it. This is one of our better live chats we've had, I think, here on Late Night. We'll do this again, obviously, and I want to remind you guys to subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. We have these every now and then. Apologize for the vertical look here, but for whatever reason, it wouldn't switch over my orientation. But I appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Leave any comments that you want. Like the page, whatever you're supposed to do. But make sure you're subscribed to this, because I have post-game videos on here. We have these live chats. I'll have some videos with my thoughts on post-game and things like that. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're subscribed to Gene's page, 247sports.com. We have some great stuff going on over there. Probably going to have 2 coaching searches to talk about in basketball. You need to be over there. That's the only place that you're finding some legit coaching search information, and recruiting too. I mean, recruiting is just not hopping anywhere else other than 247 Sports. So come check us out. We have a good deal going on over there. We'd love for you to come see us and subscribe to us. We have a great group of Bulldogs over there as well. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for checking in over here, for asking questions. Hope you guys have a great rest of the night, great rest of the week. Stay dry out there, stay happy, and we'll talk to you later.